All right, well, lucky page 13 begins. I drew a bit of this on stream the other day, and I think it definitely needs some revisions. I'm a little unhappy about how I got Stardust here. This figure. So maybe I'll still keep working with it. Um, he's getting knocked backwards by the tail slap. Yeah, I think this is about as good as I can hope to get it. I did come up with, and I think I mentioned this on the last video when I was kind of working with it. The, a good conclusion for the sequence. How do we win, right? How do we get to the point where the less powerful hero gets to win the day? And that is the story of superhero comics, really, in general. It's not about winning, usually. Like, it's not about the more powerful hero winning. I think everyone likes that fantasy that I draw superhero comics and my characters just kick ass on every page. Um, makes a more exciting story when they have to use their wits and they're in real danger, of course, right? Everybody can agree with that. So the Chimera tail slaps Stardust. Prometheus asks, "Are you okay?" And Abrax answers, "I seem to be. That was immensely painful." But my problem here, and I do have a problem, is I'm asking in the wrong order. So we need to make these smaller so that we can move our text around. "Are you okay?" should be the first piece of text on the panel. We should put it about there. And another piece of right there. See, there's always a way with arranging your speech bubbles. Some people, even people who are actually pretty good, quote unquote, as artists, don't always get their speech bubbles in the right places. So I recommend just taking the time to get those right, because your story is what really matters. He's disheveled now, so we're going to pull his tie out a little bit. Prometheus is already up and flying in the air. Ready for battle. um, also, I've got some problems right here. Both of these, I put the whole speech thing in bold italics, so that's not how it's supposed to be. Let's put it regular. And actually, let's personalize this a little bit. We'll use the character's name. Okay, 6. Making a little bit more emphasis. Okay. This is pretty much the idea with this panel. Okay, with this panel, we need some more text. He's after me, not you. He's after me, not you. If you have some way out of this shard, I'd use it. Stardust is a violent psychopath. And if you've ever read any of the Stardust comics, the Golden Age ones, you would know that was completely true. Alright, here we go. Now, how do we get this stacked nice? I don't like to do stacks that are over 4 lines, and this one looks like it's about double that. So what we can do, let's take this other line, this other sentence. It's 5 lines. There we go, 4 lines there. And then we'll split it to this next one. Bring it down here. Okay. Meanwhile, um, Trump's meanwhile is not the right line. I might end up changing that one. But basically, he gets rocketed across the way and he goes slamming into a tree. Or some rocks or something. You know? Some kind of foreground element. And then he gets up and he's got mud all over his face. And he's really mad. Now, how about not, instead of, I was going to put now you will pay. How about this? You will pay for this indignity. Select all. 14. And this is how you would use bolds. Hold on, let me just 6. Boom, boom. The word pay will be bolded. Pay with your life. Okay, and now that we've got to the point of actually making threats, I think we can go with 100% bold on that second sentence. So I think that's a pretty good start. Gosh, it only took us 10 minutes. All right, so this is very much a draft kind of layer. Oh, my grar right there. So the grar, where is it? It's not speech anymore because I took it and we can warp it. Maybe something like that. And we just take this, reduce the opacity, and we're going to ink over the top of it. So that becomes part of the graphic layer, but we will, or the pencil layer rather. We'll get to that when we get to it. For right now, you'll notice I also moved him back inside the margin. I realized that I probably haven't done quite an inch on these margins, and it would be taking this important part, his head, his face, is kind of important, and snipping it close would not be a great move graphically, I think. So brought him back in into the margin. Let's take a look at everything else. This one's got a missing corner. How about this corner? Not great, but it is what it is. Let's fix it. Okay, all of that looks pretty good. That, I think. I gotta get to work on my character sheet that I meant to turn in today. Start on the next one. I think I'm down for 3. Okay, dokie. It's all looking pretty good. Okay. It's a good start. It may not be obvious or apparent that what I'm doing with my gray layers, my quote-unquote pencil layers, they're at a different opacity level. That's what enables me to keep them easily visually separated. Some people go to the trouble of actually trying to create blue lines digitally. There's no point in doing that. I mean, I guess the point would be you could leave the blue line in after you, the blue layers in after you, commit your final piece. But for digital, the whole point of the blue line is that you can filter it out with like a Photoshop filter. Non-photoreactive blue line. That's why it's called. And I've seen all kinds of crazy things. One time I was watching a video and somebody was saying, remember, all good artists use reference. Always use reference. And he just proceeded to take a picture and put something over it and just trace it. That's not called using reference. But like to him, that was using reference. Just freaking tracing. Tracing is not using reference. I'm not even against swiping. I think swiping's a good thing in comics. Where you go and you look through a comic and you find a cool pose or a cool layout or a cool, cool solution. Comic panels are nothing but problems, right? With solutions. And I certainly have read a lot of comics. That to me is a good way to use reference and kind of figure out, well, how did they do it? And maybe I should try something like that. Or even, I'll try and do my version of that pose. Whatever else. If it's too complicated for you to draw, it's too complicated. All right, hang on. All right, now we can see what this is. The really light, faint gray lines, those are my pencils. And then we need a layer up top, and that becomes our ink layer. We're going to rename it. Hey, baby. There we go, Inky. Layer 11, Inky. Okay. I'm in an inking class right now. I think I've showed a couple of times The Dark Phoenix I just did. I did it last night, finished it. And this is my second inking class. My first one there was Joe Prado, and he had a lot of like really specific rules. Current guy does not have as many, but he does focus on technique, like hand technique, like how you're approaching. He says you got to watch the artist's hand when they're how they hold their instrument and how they're approaching things. And I'll give you an example. Prado really believed that you should start inking, and I still believe that this is true. Whatever's closest to the viewer first, and then kind of work your way back through the background. And it becomes a bit harder. Here's where I still believe. Here's one of the reasons I still believe this is true. What he's been teaching us on so far is just pinups. No sequentials, no actual scenes, just characters. Somebody even suggested, hey, you should check out David Finch. So, and I think David Finch is an extremely good technical artist, fine artist even. But I don't think he's a cartoonist at all. I don't think he really qualifies. I can't name a single comic that I own or that I would want by David Finch because, what he's doing is fine art. It's not really comics. And I watched one of his live streams and he was drawing Swamp Thing. And he goes, I think this character is called Man Thing or Swamp Thing. I'm not sure. Like, come on, man. If he wasn't just making a joke, I think it's probably true. I don't think he knows who the characters really are, other than the most iconic ones. You know, he's obviously got, like I said, a certain way of doing things and immense talent. But he's not a cartoonist. And recognizing that, I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just that I'm a cartoonist. All right, now Stardust has these eye things, the energy. So I think that this is going to be tough to do. I think we're going to have to do one of our problem solvers. And also I made his nose just a bit too big. Or did I? Too wide? This is what I mean by problem solver. We put it on another layer, so if it doesn't work, we just erase it. Ooh. Maybe not. The energy trail from his eyes should be like he's being knocked backwards, so we want to show that it kind of flies backwards. Oh, shoot. Come on now. All right. Now, going this upside down. Where's the shadow? I think we do the shadow on the top, so we do black here. Didn't work. Didn't work. I think my problem is I started to do way too much in the wrong layer. In the end, we have to make sure that his face is completely like understandable. Does it read? All right, bring back layer 2. Now I notice when you have a Superman pose like this with either Superman or even one of his super foes, for example, Bizarro or I don't know, who's a big guy that Superman fights, Atomic Skull, I have no idea. They like to really focus on showing using the wrong pen. I've been using the Milk Fine Liner this whole time. I knew it looked really rough. I think we're going to stick with it for now. It's going to be super important to show the costume. We can't let the because Prometheus and Stardust are both Titans, they have very similar costumes. So we want to make sure that they stand out, especially the collar piece. Because at a glance, that's how you can tell who's who. I know it's very confusing. Didn't like that line. There's a lot of lines I'm not liking because I was using the other brush. So I'm correcting them when I see them. Oh, see, I missed an arm. Fair enough. I'll fix it. Keep an eye out. That's what I always say. Oh, this is going to take a while. It's going to take a while because I'm going to be constantly doing corrections because it's a complicated panel with a lot of stuff going on. Well, that's on layer 12. Oh, we're going to leave this page in a state of imaginary grace here. How about that? Bottom of his foot here. I think his heel is too big for when I made the rest of his foot. Maybe something like that. I don't know if that's going to work. We'll see. It's one of those things where we're going to be massaging this panel for a while. We may end up erasing the entire thing in frustration and moving on. We'll see. I think there's definitely I'm going thick to thin here. In the end, we'll get through it. And even if it doesn't work at the end of the day, we'll have some kind of resolution. We'll get there. He's after me, not you. If you have a way out of this shard, some kind of spell, I'd use it. I think I'll have to fight him. Let's put that regular. Instead of I'll have to fight him, I'll have to fight. He's not looking forward to it. He's reserved. He's resolved. Wait. Gotta fix the lighting. This is going to be a good fight scene. All right. Please like, follow, and subscribe. I know it's 30 minutes in, and we barely got started. So, I will talk to you later. There'll be more comics every day.